This is Dr.R.Alarmelu Mangai, Assistant Professor, Dr.R.SNSRCAS College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. And now we are going to discuss about exception handling in Java. So now we will have a group discussion on exception handling. So what do you mean by an exception? What is an error and what is an exception? You can say this. What is an error, Devnashi? What is an error? Cannot be handled. You cannot handle when the error occurs, then the execution will get stopped. And what do you mean by exception? It can be handled. So you can handle the exception. So what happens? The program will not get interrupted in between. Okay, you will get a flow of your execution. Now coming to the exception, there are two types of exceptions. What are those two? Built-in exception and also user-defined exception. So you have got two types of exceptions. One is built-in exception, another one is user-defined exception. So what do you mean by built-in exception? Yes, it is already built in your system. It is a default one, okay, as your libraries, okay. Then, can you say any example for this built-in exception? Yes, yes. Divide by 0 error, okay. Divide by 0 error is a built-in exception. So which comes under arithmetic exception. So when you are having a code with any number divided by 0, then that throws an exception. Okay, what happens to that? It will call for the built-in exception, which is an arithmetic exception. So when it calls an exception, what is the error message you will get? Divide by 0 error. Okay. The next one is user-defined exception. So what do you mean by user-defined exception? Yes, the users, when we are creating an exception, then we can call it as a user-defined exception. So here, this you can have it as an alternate for a if function. Sorry, if statement. Okay. So for example, if we take an example of voting list, the eligibility of the voters. So what is the eligibility of the voters? Who can vote? So the candidates who has the age above 18 can. So for that condition, if you are giving the age of the candidate and if you are giving an exception that if they are greater than 18, then they can go for voting. If it is less than 18, then an exception will be thrown there and you can give any error message. So you will be giving the error messages. So what can the error message you can give? You can say that yes, not eligible. Okay, like that you can give. So if you are defining an exception, then you may call it as a user-defined exception. So under exception, what is an exception? The error that can be handled is an exception. So what is an error? The mistake which cannot be handled. Okay. If we are not handling the error, what happens? The program gets inserted. So to avoid that interruption, we are getting into this exception handling. So under that exception handling, we have got two types. One is built-in, another one is user-defined. Okay. Built-in is what? Which has been already in the system. And what is user-defined? The user will be creating the exceptions. Then coming to this exception handling, we have got 4 blocks under exception handling. What are those 4 blocks? First one is try, throw, catch, and finally. Okay. So what is this try? Try is nothing but it will have a code which has an error. That is an exception. So if you throw exception on that, it will say whether it is what type of exception. Okay. And then for catching, catch is nothing but it is handling the errors. It will say whether it is a built-in exception. It will give you that exception type on the message. And if it is user-defined, then it will handle and give you the message what you are giving as an exception. And next one is finally. So what is this finally block is nothing but it will have a code, whether you have an exception or not, it will run that code which is inside your finally. Okay. So and what are those 4 blocks?
Try, throw, catch, finally.
Okay. What you will have inside the try? Code. What type of code you will have inside that? Yes. Code with the error. That is the exception. Okay. So that will be handled in which part? Catch. And what you will have in finally?
Execute the code.
Yes, execute the code whether you have. Okay. So the block under finally will be executed without considering the exceptions at all. Okay. So this is what you have in your exception handling. So why we are using this exception handling in Java in order to run your program without interruption. Okay, so exception handling is mainly to execute your program without any interruption. Okay, even though you have an error, it will be handled and you have a smooth flow in your execution of the program. Okay, understood? Thank you.